welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live, and I'm Cyril Stover. The 5G network generated issues of public concern in the communications industry, with prolonged debates on its operation and safety in Nigeria's cyberspace, especially with the alleged links with health complications brought about by COVID-19. Experts had argued, however, that forensic examination had proven that the network is safe and will bring about a major revolution in mobile telecommunications, allowing Nigerians to stream in high definition, a major leap in networking protocols. But before understanding exactly what 5G will change in our lives, let's understand what it is. Now, to fully dissect issues surrounding the 5G network, we've put together a team of experts to set some of the records straight. But that will be right after this report by Joseph Johnson.
5G in Nigeria by January 2022, after getting the nod of the federal government, which some industry players say seemed like the only obstacle against the deployment of the technology in the country. But the approval by the Federal Executive Council has once again brought to the fore the controversies surrounding the good, bad and ugly sides of the 5th generation technology network, an advanced form of 2G, 3G and 4G, which Nigeria currently operates. Some Nigerians who hammered on migration issues usually associated with such introductions sued for seamlessness in the transition.
If 5G is where the world is going, there is nothing stopping Nigeria from keying into that particular system immediately and do what everybody is doing. So I don't have a problem. And people should stop, bringing in religion, bringing in stupidity, bringing in ignorance in something that is already established globally. It does not make sense. Let us forget about all these theories. People are saying it has something to do with the Antichrist, it has something to do with the 666 mark of the beast, and all this. It does not make sense. It does not make sense. Just like when street light, for example, was introduced in London several centuries ago, people said no, they don't understand that darkness is darkness. Once it is night, people should be able to sleep. Why will anybody give light in the night? Eventually, everywhere in the world now we have street light.
With the clue of things I have about the 5G, only God knows how it's going to be functioned.
Brother, those who want to remain where they are before their father was born, let them remain there. And those who want to move forward, let them move forward.
With many developed nations of the world already far into 5G adoption, ICT experts say Nigeria cannot be left behind, especially as its deployment would speed up the growth of Nigeria's digital economy.
International Telecommunications Union, that is ITU, which is an arm of the United Nations, and also World Health Organization, both of them confirm that there is no any adverse health effect of 5G.
And for most average users, they probably wouldn't notice the difference, unless maybe when they actually take into account that they can actually watch YouTube much faster now. They can actually download a whole movie or entire TV series in the shortest time possible.
While preparations for the deployment come January 2022 are ongoing, issues like getting it right in such a manner that would make the deployment beneficial to the nation and the end users when it fully comes on stream, and sensitization of Nigerians will form the thrust of deliberations by guests on the program Tuesday Live.
All right, Joseph Johnson setting the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's introduce our guests, and we'd like to welcome to this program Honorable Akim Adeni Adeyemi. He's Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Telecommunications. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
All right, let me also welcome to this program Uche M. Mbanaso, PhD, an Associate Professor of Cybersecurity and Executive Director, Center for Cyberspace Studies, Nasarawa State University, Kefi. Thanks for being with us.
It's my pleasure, and good evening, Nigerians.
Okay. We're also joined tonight by Taiwo Taiwo, is Country Rep Policy House International. Thank you for coming on Tuesday Live.
For having me. Thank you.
Let me also introduce Sadiq Nassar. He's an ICT expert. He joins us via Zoom from Eula, Adamawa State. Sadiq, welcome to NTA Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And also with us tonight is Ikechukwu Nnamani. He is President, Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria. He also joins us via Zoom from Lagos. Thanks for being with us tonight. Okay, so hopefully he'll join us. Well, as we always do, we acquaint you with the procedure. This is interactive. At some point in time, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. The phone lines will be on your screens. You can call in with a question or a comment, but we always say this to you. At the appropriate time, you call in and your call is passed to the studio. Do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And if you do get on, we always encourage you to go straight to the point, ask your question or make your comment. Don't waste time on greetings. There isn't time for that. Just go straight to that. So tonight, that's the outlook. It's all about 5G. And yes, it's good that Ikechukwu Nnamani, the president of the Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria, has joined us via Zoom from Lagos. Good evening, and thanks for being with us on NTA Tuesday Live.
Good evening. Good to be here. Thank you.
All right. So, it's about 5G. So, let's start from the very beginning of this. It's quite obvious that so many people didn't know a thing about 5G until it became well known for a certain reason. And so many people have been asking, what's 5G? How does it differ from 4G? How did you go up to 5G anyway? But so let's go first to one of our guests tonight who should help us break it down so every one of us can understand what 5G is all about and how it's different from what we have going for us. And we turn to Dr. Uche Mbana. So explain to us, if you will.
Well, 5G is the fifth generation of mobile wireless network communication, and essentially is advancement of 4G. What actually makes the difference is the frequency. So 5G is much higher frequency with very low wavelength, which means you need a very small, closer base stations to be able to operate 5G. And what that actually translates is the speed at which transmission takes place. And we have heard from every discussions that it will enhance communication, streaming of data, and enabling more devices like home appliances, smart grid, and also the electric cars that are internet enabled. Almost every device today that finds its way on the cyberspace, we benefit from the enormous speed of 5G. and the bandwidth is also very, very high, which means it will accommodate more data. So that's the picture qualities will improve, voice qualities will improve. So it's going to undoubtedly enhance users' experience in the way we communicate, the way we share data, the way we download from YouTube and other social media. So in a nutshell, I think that's all about 5G. It's an enhanced communication system.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mana. So thank you so much for breaking it down for us. And so the very next thing that most people would ask after that would be, are there relevant statutes and laws that will guide the operation of 5G, or, for that matter, guiding the operation of what we had before? And we turn to the lawmaker amongst us here, Honorable Akim Adeni Adeyemi.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, you see, I listened to Doctor, it's a very good explanation. You know, Nigerians, they deserve information. We need to let them know 1G, 2G, 3G before 5G. 1G is analog voice. 2G brought digital voice. 3G brought mobile data. 4G mobile broadband. 5G and the extension of all this, so that you will not know that 5G is one generation, two generation, from analog, digital voice, mobile data, to mobile broadband, and now to 5G. And as the legislature in Nigeria, we have empowered the Nigeria Communication Commissions to key in to any advancement in technology, in communication technology. Nigeria must not be left behind. They have been empowered legally. And Nigeria Communication Commission is always in touch with International Telecommunication Union, like the minister said, ITU. And also, as regards the health implication, the World Health Organization, even in America, the Federal Communication Commission equivalent of NCC. So legally, the act passed by the National Assembly established the NCC that is in charge of telecommunication industry, as definitely taking care of any exigencies that might occur. And if we have discovered anything that will affect Nigeria and Nigerians, definitely there will be an amendment to it. As far as we are concerned, this 5G, there's nothing too much to worry about in whatever view. Okay, so we'll come to more discussions in greater detail as we go ahead. But let's go around the rest of our guests, and let me go over to Taiwo Taiwo, who is the country rep of Policy House International, as a policy analyst. And easily some people would say, look, who determines these policies that Nigeria is good to go with 5G? And we've also heard some people say, look, we don't think that we can leapfrog and begin to use high technologies that are available in other parts of the world. But is this the kind of policy that should be for a country like Nigeria?
Cyril Stoba, and once again, thank you for having me. When you talk about digital economy, and you talk about regional and global integration, Nigeria cannot isolate itself. So it's very exciting to note that in 2021, Nigeria as a country, as an entity, has decided to, on its own, catch up with what is happening at the global level when it comes to technology and 5G. It's a welcome development, and I'm very excited to note that the Federal Executive Council has taken a very giant step in approving the policy framework around this 5G technology. And as the minister rightly stated in his press release, he was very clear that there's going to be an executive order to back up even the Federal Executive Council resolution. So Nigeria is taking the right step in the right direction, and as clearly stated by the honorable member from the House of Rep, the entire architecture of government is backing this policy to ensure that Nigerians take advantage of what is happening globally. South Korea is already far way ahead, South Africa, Lesotho, and of course, China and America. So Nigeria, being the biggest economy in terms of GDP, in terms of population in Africa, we have just taken a giant leap forward towards ensuring that we are not left behind. And it is very important and critical for our economy that the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy is not just looking at getting the Federal Executive Council to approve this, but they're also backing it up with, with an executive order to ensure the legitimacy and to allay the fears of the people. When you have a policy without a policy framework and without the legal framework, it becomes an open-ended, step. But with what the federal government is doing now to back it up with an executive order, with Federal Executive Council backing it up with a resolution, then Nigeria is on the right step and on the right track towards ensuring that we get the benefits of what is available in the 5G network. And you can actually also, discovered that the Ministry of Digital Economy is not just stopping at this, they are also backing it up with the National Center for Artificial Intelligence and, of course, a robotics center, which is very critical in ensuring that the 5G is not just standing alone, but we're also building a critical capacity. We are building the capacity of young people to catch up with what is happening globally with artificial intelligence and robotics, because 5G requires additional impetus, requires additional research and development. You need to invest in 5G, you need to invest in your people, so that at the end of the day, whatever is happening globally, you're also catching up with it and not being left behind. So it's a welcome development, and policy-wise, this is very important, because whatever we do today is what is going to be transferable to the next generation of young people, to the next government, to the successor government, and this is where the issue of sustainability comes in. Without the enabling environment, without the enabling framework, the next government is going to be at a cul-de-sac on where to continue from. So it's a welcome development, and I'm quite excited as a policy expert that the Nigerian government is backing up this 5G with relevant policy, relevant status, and the National Assembly and all key stakeholders, have keyed in towards ensuring that, there's a national consensus around this 5G. And I also want to state very clearly that when this matter started about 2 years ago, there was a lot of fears, as rightly stated and observed, that this is going to cause a lot of chaos, religious-wise, social-wise, but with the stakeholder management, with the consultation that has taken place the last 18 months, you could see that those fears have been allayed. So I really want to congratulate the Nigerian government for this. Thank you.
There are so many other issues we'll take up as we go on. Let's come to the ICT expert, Sadiq Nassar, if you can hear me, who's joining us via Zoom from Ula in Adamawa State. Sadiq, let's hear your views on this.
The advent of 5G into the Nigerian economy is actually a welcome development. There's a lot of apprehension by people around the world, not just Nigeria, as to its health effects, health hazard, which is understandable, because for every new technology or every new opportunity, humans are actually wired to be scared about it. But there is nothing to be scared about 5G. It's just an advancement in terms of telecommunication and operations and how we communicate with one another. So, to put it very simply, we are going from walking on foot, which is I would classify as 1G. Then we went to riding bicycles, and then we moved to riding cars, and now we are about to fly. In terms of analogy, that's one of the simplest explanation I could give to every Nigerian, so they have a better understanding. It's not going to harm anyone like people believe, because there was a lot of protests in the UK and a lot of other countries, which is understandable. But of course, in Nigeria, in response to that, the Nigerian government has been able to start this awareness to educate people on the benefits of the 5G, what it is, and they were able to carry out successful tests. And we're actually looking forward to it. And we, from the IT perspective, we're looking at new innovations to come up in the market to enable us build this digital economy that we have been discussing about. And it's important to also note that the federal government actually last year came up with a national digital economic policy and strategy document, which there's a third pillar of that. It's made up of 8 pillars. The third pillar says solid infrastructure, which is being captured by this 4G network. So this 5G network, rather, it's a integral part of building the digital economy. And it's important to also note that a few years ago, the National Bureau of Statistics published the report saying that about 13% of our GDP is propelled by this digital economy means that the aspect of the economy that is driven by the technology component. So it's a very, very welcome development. And Nigeria is gradually taking its position in the global space. And by us able to leverage on this new technology, by our startups being able to develop new technologies, we can compete favorably around the world. We're talking about leapfrogging here. We'll be able to build technologies that can be used in other parts of the country. But of course, these things don't happen overnight, but we take baby steps, and we're there. Right now, we've started with the policy regulation, and then by next year, we're looking at the full implementation of it after, of course, the live test, which has happened. So it's actually a welcome development by us, the operators within the technology community.
All right, okay. As he says, we're about flying, but will the benefits fly? And here's the time to bring in the president of the Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria, Ikechukwu Namani, who joins us from Lagos. Now, give us your impressions from the view of the telecommunication companies, because most people at the start of it said, oh, well, they would support it, wouldn't they? Because it would be to their benefit mostly, but there are other issues.
Absolutely. As has been stated, 5G offers more benefit than any disadvantage it may have, because the interesting part is, while we are trying to get through the regulatory process to get the approval to roll out the service, some other parts of the world have moved on a long time ago. And these countries, there's no single case in any of this country where they've had any negative impact from the implementation of 5G in their telecom network. Instead, it has all been positive. New services has been generated. The existing services has become more efficient once they migrate to the 5G network. The quality of life of the citizens have improved drastically. And most importantly, it has aided economic development of each of these countries. So these are the benefits that Nigeria would see once this is fully implemented. There was a question that was asked, which is, are we leapfrogging? Why are we not moving too fast? The answer is no. If you notice, we leapfrogged from the analog fixed line system to mobile. And the benefit we've seen with the present state of our telecom service is because we did that leapfrogging a long time ago. If we had gone through the traditional process to say, let's build out a full fixed line network like you have in other parts of the world, that it took them, in some cases, over 100 years to move to mobile services, we would not be reaping the benefit we are reaping today in terms of the state of our telecom network and services. So this is a welcome development. It's not something we are jumping. And most importantly, 5G is not going to eliminate the other existing services. 4G services will be there, 3G services will be there, even 2G services will still remain. But the benefit is for those that will be able to access that service from availability standpoint, and also from the standpoint of the need, because the services that 5G will drive, not everybody may need it at the initial stage, but those that will need it will definitely benefit from it.
Let's just expand this a little further. Not everyone would need the 5G. Some would need it. And explain that to so many Nigerians.
Okay, thank you. My grandmother in the village may not have need for 5G services, because what she does today is basically use her phone to receive traditional voice call from us, the grandchildren. Somebody like my grandmother may not see the need for 5G, but people like you and I who live in the urban city, who live our life in the digital age, who do our banking, health, work, every part of our life is based on communication. We will need 5G. That's what I mean by that.
Thanks. One of the very core issues been raised about 5G would, of course, be the matter of cybersecurity. And again, we turn to Dr. Mbanaso, who is Executive Director, Center for Cyberspace Studies of the Nasarawa State University, KEFI. The question of cybersecurity, many people on edge over that. With 5G, it does seem to many people that we're dealing with high-tech, but so will the criminals be high-tech as well.
Thank you very much. That's a very valid question and also a valid concern. Well, the issue of cybersecurity is not something anybody can wish away. And it's not something anyone can prove at this stage. There's no cybersecurity issues. As technologies advances, so also as the risk advances. And so with 5G, there's a greater cybersecurity issues. And like I've said here last 2 weeks, the rate of cybercrime will definitely increase. And because there are several devices, and some of these several devices will be unprotected. I gave a typical example of a toothbrush that might be connected via 5G, where dentists maybe monitor the health of your teeth. It's prone to a lot of privacy issues. It's also prone to hacking. The Honorable Minister also mentioned here about how 5G can enhance our medical healthcare, in the sense that you can have a doctor performing operations remotely. But how does that happen? It means the doctor will operate a robot remotely to be able to perform operation. And all these are software based. And we know that software has millions of vulnerabilities that can be exploited. And for the fact that this is actually concerns human, have a lot of privacy issues. So what I would suggest at this point is that people begin to differentiate between health issues and security issues and privacy issues. These are the three different things that we need to consider. So in as much as, yes, it has been proven or have been said that 5G does not pose serious health issues, but the security and privacy remains a very huge concern. And so this is where I think the nation should be focusing now, how to be able to mitigate these security and privacy issues. And one more thing that I would like to point out at this point is how much is the local content into the 5G. We started migration from 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. So how much local content do we have in 5G? And how long will we continue to consume most of these technologies? Because when you are talking about the benefits, and almost everything that has to do with 5G has to be imported into this country, is a very huge concern, not only from the economic perspective, but from also security perspective. So the concern of security and the concern of privacy is still very germane in the discussion of 5G. So I think we need to begin to look into it very enormously and begin to do what I may refer as a thorough risk assessment of 5G security and privacy issues. And with that, we can be very good to use 5G in such a way that the benefits will outweigh the security and privacy issues.
Honorable, you heard the man.
Yes,
Of
Nelly.
course, right now we're grappling with heightened insecurity. Private, okay. Even now, hacking has been taken to
a high level.
Yes.
Yes, sure.
And yes,
I think Nigerians deserve to know the benefits of this 5G. Let's start with what is the contribution of the ICT to the Nigerian economy? GDP, 70.92% at the moment. On behalf of Nigerians and Nigeria in particular, the National Assembly has taken upon himself to ask some basic question. Deployment of this 5G, how does it affect the economy? And we have been able to get the result that, okay, close to nothing less than 25% contribution will be from ICT to the Nigerian economy. That is good. That will bring about employment, both direct and indirect employment to Nigerians, and particularly the youth. And also, if you talk about this 5G will revolutionize, transform our way of life from what the experts have said. How does it revolutionize our life? In education. In education, for example, now, if you deploy 5G now, you can imagine the availability of wireless connectivity that is fast. Our Zoom learning, visual learning, Zoom meeting will be improved. Look at how we can connect with the telecommunications chairman in Lagos now. Sometimes it is hiccup. This will be eradicated. I can see that in Nigeria, receiving lectures, Harvard, anywhere in the world, from here to University of Ibadan, Ife and Co. Education-wise, 5G deployment will enhance education. In terms of health, look at what the doctor said. They can perform operation even without presence, but it's of the 5G. So Nigerians should know the benefit. In terms of even safer transportation, also agriculture. So the benefit of 5G is so much that Nigerians cannot be left behind. And we are talking about security-wise. The reason is this: even if we say for whatever reason or the other, we don't want to deploy 5G, the rest of the world are already migrating to 5G. They can even use this technology to affect your security network. You need to belong there to be part of the deployment so that you can at par with all the developed nations and how to cope the security situation of your country vis-a-vis the developed nation. So we have taken it upon ourselves to ask this question on behalf of Nigerians, give them the legal framework, and see the benefit of 5G. And earth-wise, and also where Nigerians are shouting, maybe, is there any problem? There's this negligence, we call negligence, barest minimum of low latency. That is, there's this 5G deployment, this 5G gadget, it is very low in attracting heat. So definitely there's nothing earth hazard associated with this 5G. Even it has a low latency compared to 4G, 3G, 2G. And what the organization has given us, I was there in Hungary, in International Trade Union and Telecom Union in 2019. This question we asked, we get the fact on behalf of Nigerians. I was also in Dubai last year, Telecommunication Union, globally. So we understand and we ask this question. Nigerians have nothing to fear. This 5G is the in thing. We must be connected to the rest of the world.
All right, Taiwo Taiwo. Well, you heard the Associate Professor of Cybersecurity, Dr. Nassar. He raised concerns and said Nigeria should be looking in those directions. What are your thoughts on that, particularly?
Well, when you look at it from a very critical perspective, you agree with me that the step that the Nigerian government has taken is in critical line with what has become very obvious and imperative as the biggest economy in Africa. I am particular about the biggest economy in Africa because, yes, we might be the biggest economy in Africa, but we are lacking in so many areas, particularly in the area of infrastructure. In the area of technology, we are also behind compared to other countries like Seychelles, like Mauritius, like Rwanda, South Africa, Morocco, and Egypt. When you compare the investment they have made in technology, these 5 countries I've mentioned, when you compare the investment they have made in technology and the digital economy, Nigeria is far behind. And therefore, that is why some of us are quite excited with the way Nigeria is trying to catch up from the sleeping giant toga that we have been regarded in recent times. So, otherwise, in terms of the cybersecurity perspective of it, I think the Nigerian government has to look at that angle very critically, because you might lose sight of the disadvantage of this 5G when you now look at the bigger perspective of the advantages that is associated with its deployment. So there is need for investment on data gathering, data analysis, the pros and cons of this digital technology. How does it take our economy to the next level? How does it grow our economy? Or how much impact does it have on job creation? How much impact does it have on technology penetration? How much does it have on youth employment? How much does it have on diaspora remittance? Are we going to lose the people we are training on artificial intelligence to our neighboring countries? Do we have the capacity to retain them? Do we have the incentive to even retain them in our economy? Because there's something very fantastic about coming up with an artificial intelligence and robotics center. But after investing so much, just the way we are investing in training medical doctors, and we are losing them to other countries who have higher incentives, do we have the capacity to retain the young people we are going to be training on artificial intelligence and robotics? Because it is very good that the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy has that plan, but those incentives has to be put in place so that Nigeria doesn't lose its best brain to capital flight. And that is the area some of us are very worried about. We must look at the next 10 years. Where are we going to be? Are we already thinking of 6G? Are we going to sustain the policy around investment in artificial intelligence? What are the critical success factors associated with deployment? These are the key issues that we are looking at in the area of policy and policy sustainability. It is very critical that the government looks at how sustainable this is. What is our plan for the next 5 years? What is our plan for the next 15 years? Other countries are already investing in 6G that they are going to release in 2029. We are celebrating 5G. Fantastic. Clap, clap. However, we must look forward. We must look beyond where we are right now and see how we can catch up and really be the biggest economy of Africa that we really are. Those are my thoughts.
All right, just before we play the catch-up as you recommended, let's return to two key issues and maybe a third now that Taiwo really has just raised. And I'm putting this to Sadiq Nassar in Yola. First, well, yes, the 5G will enhance so many things, including security, but on the same hand, it will also lead to challenges in cybersecurity. So I'd like you to look at that as an ICT expert. Then another key issue which was raised by Dr. Mbanaso had to do with local content.
Okay. The issue of cybersecurity is an international phenomenon. Reason being that there is no one silver bullet. What that means is there is no one thing that when you do it end to end, to guarantee you that you have a robust system. So what we do is we need to invest more within that cybersecurity space, especially as it affects 5G. And it's important to note that the 5G network is actually a software-defined network. It means that a lot of routing of packets means a lot of messages that will be routed would be IP-based, would be done by a software. So that creates a lot of opportunities and threats. Opportunities in the sense that us, the experts on ground or within the cybersecurity space, can actually start studying these threats. How are they likely going to occur? If they occur, what are we going to do? And of course, there's a global knowledge base being developed by several initiatives within this 5G, studying the various security threats that 5G faces. So in Nigeria, if we can key into this, and it's not always dependent on government. The government cannot do it all. It's a multi-stakeholder approach. All our big mobile network operators need to invest more in this cybersecurity space to understand what is this 5G, how does it operate, what are the potential loopholes, and that leads us to the next point, which is local content, because we need a lot of investment in this space so we can understand it. Because I mean, around the world, 5G is still pretty much new. It hasn't been really understood, and it's important to understand that as much as we have individual hackers that are trying to take advantage of this 5G, we have what we call the state actors. State actors are independent countries that actually invest money in breaking down other countries' network for whatever reasons. Of course, they deny it, but we do know that something around that exists. So we need to put in more effort to understand what is this 5G, how does it work, how can we prevent it from being attacked. But of course, as we grow on, we need to look at local production of some of these equipment. For some of these equipment, rather than bringing them all in one bulk, we can actually look at, okay, which part of the components can we produce locally? Then the Nigerian government, of course, I believe that they're doing that already. They will force those implementers of technology to actually get those components locally. So that way we are gradually growing our local economy. Of course, it's not a technology that I would say would have end-to-end solutions. It's not something that we have the requisite knowledge, because even an economy such as America, they're still struggling with this 5G, because there are other actors that have actually preceded them in terms of investment, in terms of doing research to actually come up with a better approach and more efficient way of doing this 5G. So Nigeria should not be left out, and we should not just be a consumer economy. Of course, we should try and find better ways of doing this. And there's so many opportunities around this 5G that it will present in terms of local content. Thank you.
All right. Let's look at another aspect of the 5G. And here I'm looking at the deployment. And let's go over to the president of the Association of Telecommunication Companies of Nigeria, Ikechukwu Namani, in Lagos. True, right now, many Nigerians are not very pleased with the services of telecommunications companies. Now we're going 5G. Is there going to be a difference?
Thanks. We expect that there should be a difference. The unfortunate situation is the reasons why we're having some poor quality of service is not even tied to the network service providers. It's based on external factors that the network service providers cannot directly control. Issues about vandalism of telecom infrastructure leads to poor quality of service. Issues about unavailability of electricity where you need it and at the price point you need it leads to poor quality of service. Challenges with not being able to roll out networks because you've not gotten right of way from the regulatory bodies at the state or local government level, so that your network is congested, not because you don't want to expand it, but because you are not allowed to expand it by factors beyond your immediate control. These are some of the issues that have currently led to the poor quality of service we are facing. Now, with 5G, the good thing is that people would actually notice slightly higher quality of service because the bandwidth that will be available to you will be much higher. So some of the poor quality you are experiencing today, especially with video services or high data capacity services, you will not notice it with 5G because the technology itself would naturally give you a better user experience than what 4G or 3G can do. So from that standpoint, as a user, you would notice better quality of service from a 5G network. But the underlying challenges that service providers are facing today, if it is not addressed, is still going to affect every network, whether 2G, 3G, 4G, or 5G in Nigeria. These are issues that unfortunately today goes beyond the control of the network service provider. But we are working on it. We are working closely with the ministry, with the regulator. As an association, we are interfacing with the various state government agencies to see how we will resolve these issues. And we are making some progress, and hopefully we'll get better quality once some of these underlying issues are addressed.
Yes, just let's go a little bit further here. What's the outlook in terms of cost? Those who tell you, for instance, that data is so expensive now.
That's true. Truth be told, with 5G, you're going to experience two areas of cost variation. One is the devices. The devices are still expensive because they are still new. So until manufacturers of the devices are able to produce at larger scale as 5G become more prevalent, the cost of the devices may not drop initially. So we need to expect that the cost to acquire the 5G devices are going to be slightly higher than your 4G or 3G devices. So that's one aspect. The second aspect of it is not necessarily the cost of the service. It's just that if you have procured a particular capacity of bandwidth from your provider, because the quality is good and the data throughput is going to be higher, you may notice that your data may run out faster. Today, those people that have access to 4G are noticing that their data runs out faster than those that have access to 2G. It's not because the cost per data is necessarily higher, but because you are using it up faster because of the services you are running on it. Some of the services that you are running on it is data intensive. So you will notice that if you purchase a particular bundle from your service provider, your data may run out faster because of the services that you are enjoying from it. So you would also notice a bit of this when 5G is fully implemented.
Well, that might well be so, but in the long run, it's still going to tell on the pocket, for instance. And another aspect is
we are not phasing out. That's why we say we are not phasing out 4G. We are not phasing out 3G, and even 2G in some remote areas will still be there. So subscribers will definitely have choice and options.
Okay, so go for 3G or 2G and spend less, but take forever to get that data to work for you. Well, the other extraneous factors that he talked about are not about to disappear overnight, and some of them have to do with the way administration, government is run. And with this, I'm not talking about at just the national level, states and local governments, especially in terms of taxes. He talked about the right of way. Now, these issues have been on the table for quite some time.
Yes, it's a very critical issue, and it's affecting telecommunication industry in Nigeria, critical infrastructure, and also multiple taxation. You see, state government and local government are sometimes taxing this multinational telecommunication company, and also the federal government. So we have ensured that the Ministry of Communication and the economy engage the state government and let them know the implication that if care is not taken, some of this telecommunication industry will have problem and move out of your state, because if they are paying multiple taxes, it tells. And also security-wise, do you imagine some telecommunication industry having to engage private guard to guard some mass and some structure? Because some youth just decided and said they need development fee. If you don't pay them, they will destroy the telecommunication gadget. It's a problem we are facing. So we Nigerians, and particularly our state governors and local government, should understand that we need to set this clearly. Who can pay, who they should pay for some of these taxes. Imagine when they've already paid the national government, the federal government, they get to the state because they have to deploy this gadget in the state government will just tax them. Now the local government will say, come on, this is our local government. They should tax them again. Multiple taxation. And now we are talking about 5G. I think the youth should know time is money. The time that will take you to download file, program, or even movie on a 4G compared to 5G, 10 times. Sometimes lower. So if it's taking you like 2 hours to download a file, a program, or a movie, the 5G will take you only 10 times lower than that. And if you can save 10 times lower of the previous time you spend on 4G, time is money. Even though it costs higher, but time is still money.
All right, we have a number of reports dealing with the subject of the day, and we'll start off with this one from our Lagos Network Center.
5G, which is the fifth generation technology network, is the advanced form of 2G, 3G, and 4G, which Nigeria currently operates. Large numbers of advanced countries of the world have adopted the 5G network, while others are considering its adoption in the next few years. The technology provides the platform for new and emerging technologies such as the Internet of Things, IoT, artificial intelligence, AI, and big data to improve the way people live and work.
The 5G network will also come with increased capacity, and it has increased bandwidth compared to the 4G network.
From 15 to about 20 megahertz gig per second, and with very low latency. That means that short duration to be able to connect with what you want.
The new network comes with great potential that will boost the entire spectrum of Nigeria's socio-economic ecosystem. Its adoption in Nigeria will no doubt bring about transformation in the country in the areas of smart city, smart transportation, and efficiency in medicine.
You look at almost every form of economic sector that we have in the country, and then internet has a role to play in all of this. So it tends to speed up more activities. You move away from the manual way of doing things, and you deploy the digital means of achieving faster results.
You can do a lot more across with technology, moving data across, talking to people in terms of Zoom calls or in any sort of communication in there. Better infrastructure enables this. And I think if they recognize this and they embrace it, it would unlock a lot of revenue and development for the country as a whole.
It will further migrate government operations from manual to digital to conform with the benchmark of operations in the 21st century. While experts have enumerated the many benefits of the adoption of 5G network to the government and its citizenry, they however want government to improve on infrastructures for seamless operations of the 5G network in Nigeria.
All right, from one commercial center to another. In Lagos, we've seen how is it like in Kano.
The evolution in information and communication technology moves with advancement in the world and human life. It started at first generation 1G, which was able to transfer only voice, and the next generation, which is about to take off in Nigeria, is about the whole lot of new life. Internet of Things, which facilitates the realization of smart cities and homes, will be the new order.
You can design a smart city in which all the devices in the city are talking to each other. For example, you can have an application of smart parking. When you come to city, you want to park your vehicle, you don't have to start scouting around. Your vehicle will be speaking to sensors that are mounted in the parking lots. Okay? Or you are talking about the vehicles talking to each other, in which you can have a car, a driverless cars.
Well realized, experts believe it will create more jobs, market openings, and economic viability.
The IoT, artificial intelligence, they're all application of 5G. Fear of losing job, no. I mean, it's easing the job. You understand? When you bring in robots, does not mean that your job is going to be taken away. That's generating another job, and many other things will come in.
The expert allayed the fear that 5G is not as harmful as the conspiracy theorists created understanding to the minds of people. However, the challenge is its affordability and commitment on the side of policymakers towards making the cities and homes 5G compliant. In addition, because of the speed and space, it may be easier for cyber criminals to unleash their motives on the innocent online users.
5G will bring the issue of high-speed wireless network. So in that case, it will give some room for the people that wanted to penetrate the network or people that wanted to do some criminality activities to have access faster than that of their remaining generation network.
All right, I'd like to go back to the question of security. It's known that right now countries, technologically advanced countries, are trading, blames over huge attacks on infrastructure. Now, this is a question I'd like to put to Dr. Mbanaso. Is there capacity in this field? And I mean local capacity in its deployment, its maintenance. Is that kind of capacity available in this country if you face a huge attack that brings down a whole government institution or a public institution that virtually controls the lives of Nigerians?
Thank you very much for that question. As we are aware, 5G is a new technology. Cyberspace is emerging. Cybersecurity is also a phenomenon that every country is grappling. And so every country is making conscientious effort to be able to match the pace of activities that is happening in the cyberspace by building a pipeline of workforce that can actually contain these activities, malicious activities that happen. In terms of capacity, I think in Nigeria we are doing our best to be able to produce a workforce. A lot of universities are also already offering cybersecurity at degree level, master's level, and PhD. For instance, in the Center for Cyberspace Studies, Nassar State University, we have master's program and also PhD in cybersecurity, and also at a postgraduate diploma level. In a very probably next session, we're going to start a BSc in cybersecurity and data science and technology, which is also a very important aspect of what we are talking about. Now, when we are talking about capacity, and we also have the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy has set up a hub for artificial intelligence and robotics. That is a very welcome development. But of concern, as a matter of concern, just like Taiwo has mentioned about the benefit of using artificial intelligence, we should also be able to know that every of this technology we introduce has its vulnerability landscape. So when people talk about artificial intelligence and also talk about robotics, there are also tools criminals can use. And because with 5G, it means things can happen at the speed of thought. And so you can see that criminals who have the capacity will employ artificial intelligence in committing crime. And so we need to be able to just not looking at only the benefits, but looking at how we can thwart the enormous security challenges we are going to face going forward. Cyber crimes will increase, and you know that we have a very talented Nigerians who are probably in this area that is not coordinated, and so we are going to see increased cyber crime that even also with sophistication of using artificial intelligence. As we speak today, people can buy tools with as much as $1 from the dark web, and they can use it to commit a crime that can fetch them about $1 million US. And so there is a lot that is happening in this arena, and to a certain extent, the cyberspace is redefining the world order in several ways. And so we have to begin to look at how to increase our capacity, how to build a real pipeline of workforce in various capacities and expertise to be able to match the crisis we're going to face in the very near future. After 5G, we're going to have 6G, we're going to have 7G, even 8G. We don't know how where it's going to
Okay, thank you so much for that. Well, at this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, the phone lines will be open, and that means you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. We'll also explore other aspects of it. For instance, how this can affect elections. Honorable, you're right here, and of course we've seen this at play in other parts of the world where people have tried to influence the outcome of elections. So we'll be examining all that. When we return from this short break, stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth Entrepreneurship Support Years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us on this segment. The lines will be open soon. You can get to be part of the discussion. Remember, we said at the start of the program that if you do get through, turn down the volume of your TV set to avoid the echo. And please go straight to the point, ask a question or make a comment, and don't let's dwell too much on greetings. So, this aspect of it, we said would look at other matters here. One of them, how all this can be deployed to alter the people's will. I'm sure Honorable would be much interested in that.
Definitely.
And of course, I am still worried about the financial world, because if anything, I mean, if what we're seeing today is to go by, if we are to go by what we're seeing today, especially with the deployment of relatively easy to handle matters like POS transactions, a lot of vulnerable Nigerians have been swindled out of their hard-earned money. And sometimes those who do this, the criminals go away and we can't even trace them. Now we're going to have people who are highly skilled. And how do we protect Nigerians who are vulnerable from things like this?
Yeah, I have to support what you've said. I am a victim of this swindling via POS. When you send your PA out to go and do transaction for you on the ATM, you decided to go and use the POS, and afterward you receive a lot of some purchases on your account. Up to now, I sent the complaint to the bank. In the last 2 months, they have not been able to come to me and tell me what happened to my money. They cannot trace it. POS. Now, we're talking about 5G or communication, electronic, whatever, as affect election. Is that what you're asking? You see, Nigerians should take this from us. The House of Representatives, the law stated clearly that INEC is saddled with the responsibility to conduct election, transmission of results at their discretion. Look at that. That is the law. At their discretion. Fine. We are lawmaker. But the law cannot remain stagnant. Life evolves. That's why you see review law. That's why you say, okay, amendment to a law, because life itself is not stagnant. The question remains, if Germany has reverted back from electronic voting back to manual. Switzerland have reverted back from electronic to manual. Even in America, even in United States of America, I'm telling you, they will still count their vote one by one. 1, 2, Telling because even if you act this, you cannot act this because there's an allegation about Russia hacking America, and that is still there. The question now remains: are we sophisticated enough to prevent what America cannot prevent, what Germany cannot prevent, what Switzerland cannot prevent? So when you see some legislator like us asking some germane question about the capacity of INEC, and we ask the question, can this be hacked? The NCC told us that they have no sophistication to prevent hacking.
Okay, we'll come back to that matter, but let's get our very first call. Miracle calling in from Edu. Miracle, go ahead.
Good evening, sir, Mr. Stewart. Hello, good evening. Yeah, I want to appreciate every one of you in the studio tonight. I strongly believe with the unity of the telecommunication companies and the stakeholders, the 5G can come to reality, and it will be benefit to the people in the grassroots across the whole areas of all local government.
All right. Okay. Well, Miracle was just warming up to. Well, we'll just try and call us back if you still have other things to talk about, and the lines are open. Okay. So, Honorable, this obviously will lead to some other heated debates.
Yes, definitely, definitely. But we Nigerians has the right to want to move to higher level. Nigerians also have the right to ask some question. Is this higher level in terms of look at the banking network now? So now you can sit down in your house and see somebody has a transaction in from your account. You ask the question how and why. That is germane. On behalf of Nigerians, we're trying to ask the stakeholder, the people involved, how can we solve this thing? We still have to ask them the security implication of the 5G deployment. Have you put in place mechanism to checkmate, to cope, to bring about to the barest minimum cybercrime? It's very, very important. Up till now, so I was watching on the television when somebody told me that some banks, I don't want to mention names here, that this bank is even easy to hack. Imagine the implication of the bank. Imagine the implication of the bank. When a criminal be interviewed after being apprehended, saying, to hack this bank is even the easiest. To hack this bank is tougher, but they can hack it. But this bank is even the easiest. You see? But definitely, as a lawmaker, we are trying to make some legislation that will put in place mechanism to save this country and Nigerians, its citizens.
All right. Do we have another call on the line? No. Okay, so let's just quickly go back to Ikechukwu Namani and say, well, you just had some other concerns been raised here. Now, apart from just deploying this technology, what is on offer from the telecommunication companies dealing with protection data?
Thanks. Let me put it this way, and I'm very happy the conversation on 5G is really bringing up the issue of cybersecurity and how people need to be cyber aware. So let me say this, and this is important we understand that 5G is a mobile access network. Now, what does that mean? It means at the barest end of it is the subscriber. What the subscriber is able to do with their devices and maybe Internet of Things and all that. At the core of the network, the operator still secures their network. So at the core of the network, there is no difference in the cybersecurity risk between a 5G network, a 3G network, or a 4G network from a mobile standpoint. It's still the same risk you do. So if the service providers are able to secure their network with 3G, 4G services, they can also secure the network even with 5G. The bigger challenge comes from the subscriber side, because as we're saying, a subscriber today that is vulnerable within a 3G or a 4G network would still be vulnerable if it's a 5G network. The reality is that most times, subscribers and people in general need to be well educated about the proper, what we call cyber habits. Okay, you see an email that looks so good to be true For some reason, you want to believe it and you click on it. You see somebody have sent you money that you know you've not earned and should not be coming to you. You want to believe miracle has happened, you go for it and you become a victim. So those are cyber habits that once people are educated about what to do when you are online, it secures you. It's got very, very little to do with the access technology, whether it's 3G, 4G, or 5G. If you are vulnerable within a 3G network, you would also be vulnerable within a 5G network. So that education, that enlightenment has to be put out there in terms of the right attitude and how people should conduct themselves when they are online or have access to ICT services. Is very, very important, and I'm happy this is bringing up a lot of education or information on that. But the proper education, whether we have 5G or not, we still need to educate our people on the right cyber habits, because people are vulnerable today. Talk like the bank you mentioned and a few of the other institutions. 5G is just going to open up more access to devices. But as at today, if you as a financial institution, you've not secured your network, it doesn't matter whether 5G is there or not, you're still going to be vulnerable. So what I'm saying is that while 5G potentially would expose more people, expose more devices to ICT services, the same risk that is currently existing within the networks we have today is still there. 5G is not going to radically just, for some reason, because it's 5G, these risks will suddenly appear. No. If people cannot learn today how to be safe online, it doesn't matter whether it is 3G, 4G, or 5G, the same situation is going to come up. So it's very, very important that we understand it. And as the Prof had said and others have said, there is need for a lot of education on two aspects of it. One, user education, let people know what to do and not to do when they are online. If suddenly somebody calls you from nowhere and say, hey, I'm calling from your bank, we're just doing some network upgrade, we need so and so information from you, you need to, by default, as a user of ICT service, know that your bank would naturally not call you for such a reason, and you know that this is fraud. Somebody sends you a text message, and the next thing you receive a call, they say, oh, we made a mistake and we sent the wrong text message to your phone. Can you read out the number for me? And then you read that number, unknown to you that they are trying to authenticate your password. Because your network has already secured you by giving you the fact that nobody can just go without them testing you. So if you know some of this and suddenly a message on something comes to your phone, the next minute somebody is calling you to ask for the code that you just received, you should shut down that call, because you know this is a cyber criminal trying to have access to your devices as well as your account. So there are some very simple cyber habits that Nigerians need to be trained about, needs to be aware. NCC and a lot of the organizations are putting out information to educate people. More of this needs to happen. But as long as we have not imbibed that culture of the safest cyber habits, we're still going to keep falling victims to cyber criminals. It doesn't mean they are smarter. It doesn't mean the emerging technology is making them smarter. No, it just means that we, from the user standpoint, we're not doing what we need to do. Then from the corporate standpoint, there are a lot of organizations that don't have firewalls, a lot of organizations that don't even have the minimum infrastructure they need to have to secure their network. It is not right. Those have to be fixed. And it's good we understand that the challenge that would come from cybersecurity that we're expressing today is already here with us, you know, and we don't have 5G yet, but we are already expressing this challenge. But is that suddenly people are becoming more cyber aware. Secondly, we are beginning to train a workforce that will secure the country from a strategic standpoint. And ultimately, I'm looking at a day where we have enough workforce that we can actually start providing outsourced security services to other countries that are not as well advanced as us over time. So a lot of the initiative we put in place is very important.
Okay, we'll certainly come back to you because, yes, you've explained all of this. But again, Nigerians will be looking to these companies to at least take a further step in protecting them because it is quite clear that sometimes, even from the operators themselves, there could be openings. But let's go back to the phones now, and we have another caller calling in. Right. Okay. We lost that call here. At this point, let's talk to Taiwo Taiwo once again.
Thank you very much. In response to the vulnerability and the risk associated with deploying new technology and innovation in a growing economy, there's no doubt that in deploying technology and innovation in an economy, there are risks associated with such ventures. But it's just like a plane. Plane crashes and people die, but people don't stop flying. The aviation industry has grown over the years from the 1900s to the 50s to the 70s, and up to now the aviation industry is still growing. And they improve on how on the security and on the safety of planes in the skies. The same thing is also associated with deployment of technology and, of course, innovation and artificial intelligence. We cannot say because people are going to hack our phones, people are going to manipulate the system, and therefore we should not embrace what is good. What is good is good. What we need to do is to ensure that policies are put in place. We also have to ensure that the policies that are put in place are geared towards protecting privacy. Then there has to be stakeholder engagement. There has to be enlightenment of the citizens on the dangers associated with disclosing your private information, your passwords, and how you manage yourself in public spaces and all of that. The kind of community, the kind of this kind of what's it called? The kind of friends you maintain, the kind of your neighborhood. How do you secure yourself? So all of these come together and in an aggregated manner to support the security of technologies that have been deployed. Number two, the legal framework has to be such that it is subject to amendment. The penalty has to be high enough to discourage people from engaging themselves in crime that's associated with technology. Then you talked about election management. How do we deploy 5G and all the associated innovation in technology towards election management? I want to while agreeing with the honorable member, I also want to disagree with him. We cannot go back to where we are coming from. We have to improve on our electoral system. We have to improve on investing in technology, in transmission of results, in ensuring that people are trained. INEC officials are trained on how to use new technology to ensure that when people are voting, immediately results are being called. We cannot go back to the 80s and 90s on how results, people snatching ballot boxes and all of that. And that is why I am very happy that the National Assembly has even come up with electronic transmission of results. So we now need to look at how do we marry this 5G technology, how do we marry artificial intelligence towards supporting our electoral system to ensure that our elections are much more transparent. The way we transit in this country is much more modern. Yes, some countries are going back to manual tabulation of results and all of that, but as a result of issues. So we also have to learn from what are the issues in those countries, particularly in the US. Recently, about 8 months ago, when it took almost 2 weeks for the presidential election to be called as a result of failure of technology and all of that. We have to learn from the failure, the weaknesses associated with such incidences.
Okay, right. So that's a very good point here. That let's get back to the phones and Samuel from Enugu. Hello, Samuel. Samuel from Enugu. Is Samuel still on the line? All right. Probably call back. That call is lost. Well, the phone lines are still open, but we do have a couple of reports, more reports that will come in here at this point in time. And this one is from Enugu Network Center.
A technological advancement in mobile cellular networks has been evolved from first generation to the fourth generation. However, the current global wireless standard is phasing out to usher in the next generation. As a result, the evolution of 5G has been raising dust with many unverified claims of danger in the social media windows, such as causing of coronavirus, damaging the DNA in the body cells, and leading to cancer, amongst other speculations. Although some of these speculations have been the existing possible effects of every radioactive rays when the user is exposed to it without proper precautionary measures, while issues of the causing COVID-19 is out of it. The 5G network is a new kind of global network that is designed to connect virtually everyone and everything, including machines, objects, and devices. The greatest advantages of 5G is that it is the combination of speed, responsiveness, and reach, which could unlock the full capabilities of other trends in technology, offering a boost to self-driving cars, drones, virtual reality, and internet skills, where a surgery can be conducted without the surgeon being physically present.
Businesses and organizations will work more efficiently deploying and using the 5G capability. And I think that is one attractive thing that will make businesses embrace this as soon as possible. And then, of course, it can increase network capacity up to 40 times what 4G can do now. So connectivity and connections with linkages and so on, you have a much better capacity with the 5G than 4G.
What is the 5G all about? Is internet being faster?
Meanwhile, experts say 5G network, like other cellular networks, use a system of cell sites that divide territory into sectors and send encoded data through radio spectrum.
All right. I guess the calls are still coming in, but just before we take another, let's go over to Sadiq Nassar. Okay. So, has a call coming through? No, not yet. We'll get those calls. But before we go off to Sadiq, let's take a look at this other report from Jos.
The fifth generation network 5G, recently approved by the Federal Executive Council for increased connectivity, is an upgrade of the 4G, which allows greater optimization of network traffic and smooth handling of usage spike. The combination of increased speed and network capacity is expected to create the potentials for larger amount of data to be transmitted.
The whole idea of the generation or the 5G is to increase speed of transmission of data and information across the network or across the internet.
We'll deliver up to maybe 1,000 more capacity than that of the 4G, creating a very good fighter ground for Internet of Things, whereby you have facilities connecting themselves to each other. And also this also will promote virtual and remote connectivity. And this will play a major role in areas like the health sector, whereby you can even have a virtual operation.
5G will allow some of the applications like driverless cars. Speed is what we're expecting now. It's the fastest and robust network we have ever seen in the future of humanity.
Experts say the 5G network technology is 100 times faster, supports new application and saves time. Sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing and logistics will also benefit from lower latency of 5G, while sporting and news events can minimize the impact of load spikes and increased coverage. Telecommunication experts are calling on consumers to key into the fifth generation of cellular network technology in view of its enormous benefits.
All right, we have Kabiru calling in from Lagos. Hello, Kabiru.
Hello.
Hello, thank you so much. Good evening, Mr. Suwa.
Right, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I want to make a little contributions. The introduction of 5G technology in the Nigerian telecommunications sector, it cannot be overemphasized. However, 5G technologies, the motives behind the generations increasing in future is for migration from the platform that you are used to a platform that is more robust and reliable. Advanced world, all they have been using in Europe, for example, is the normal 4G that we are using in Nigeria. And they're achieving a lot. So for 5G in Nigeria, simply what I may see there is technologies there are the infrastructure, the core infrastructure is not Nigerian dependent. We will see serious improvement, like gaming, online dating, and other related activities online that the main infrastructure is not Nigeria resident. But for the major benefit of the 5G which we're supposed to benefit from, it will take us a very long time. Like the same way 3G and 4G has been elapsed or about to be transferred to the 5G in the developed world, that we are still lagging behind. The most critical benefit and the most important benefit of the fifth generation is Internet of Things, whereby you have autonomous technologies, self-driving vehicles. You communicate with your house, you communicate with your city. Your city will tell you this morning you have a parking slot at the Koi or in Lagos, wherever you are. You communicate with Internet of Things around you, which presently in Nigeria will lack that infrastructure on ground. So the technology will only benefit a very few sector that's controlled by the only minimum 20% that generate the 80% of GDP, while the remaining 80% that generate the less 20% of GDP will be left behind. By the time already China is talking of 6G, we will see a situation whereby the world will transit to 6, 7G while we are still stuck in 5G. So the reality is this. If the government of this country really want to have Nigeria technologically move forward, we need to look at the infrastructure on ground. Medical will benefit from 5G because the main technology infrastructure is not dependent in our country, whereby experts from anywhere in the world, they can contribute and do online real-time surgery and procedures without doctors in country. But the many other businesses that we're supposed to benefit a lot from the 5G technology, it will take us a very long time. It will take us a very long time. So we need to work on telecommunication infrastructure in country. As we speak, many businesses host their even website domain outside Nigeria for reliability, flexibility, accessibility, and integrity. Whereby still the country is having challenges hosting a simple domain for businesses. Then we are introducing 5G. So a lot need to be done. It's not a gimmick. It's not just we're saying that we are moving with trend. Yes, we must move with the global world. That is the global trend. That's the world where everywhere the world is able to. But the reality is this: we must to invest heavily in infrastructure, whereby at the end of the day we should be able to be whole responsible and manage our economy digitally using these technologies. Very soon, in the next few years, I don't see 7G anything less than 10 years to come. Global world leaders, they are moving fast. China is already developing 6G. Even the 5G is about coming up in Europe. Even in America, they are trying to launch 5G. So I think there's a lot to be done.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kabiru from Lagos. And straight away, we just go to Sadiq Nassar and say, how do you respond to the views of Kabiru, who just called in from Lagos?
he actually started a good conversation, and there are a lot of challenges that we have in this country. 5G would not simply eradicate all our problems when it comes, rather it's just be an enabler. By being an enabler means that it creates a platform, it creates an opportunity for us to be able to build on. So without us harnessing the advantages, harnessing the opportunities, we could lose the track. But I believe with the trajectory that we're going right now, if we keep up the pace, keep doing all the things we need to do in terms of, for example, capacity building, doing a lot of training, trying to build a lot of local content to solve these problems around our economy, we will get it right eventually. Of course, it takes deliberate effort for us to get there. Consistency is key, because this regime has started on a good note on this 5G and other related policies, for example, around digital economy and broadband policies. We need to ensure that whoever comes into office after 2023 is able to continue with that trajectory, so that we can take advantage of this digital economy to enhance our life and try to find some of these teething problems, such as unemployment, such as security challenges. And of course, we always look up to the Western world and China for some of our economic challenges and some of the deficiency that we're not able to solve. But the truth largely remains that nobody else can solve our problems. Only we can solve it, we Nigerians. But of course, it also makes sense to collaborate with other countries in terms of resources, in terms of try to build up skill gaps. So we cannot continuously depend on other countries, but at some point we just have to focus on that local content. Every stakeholder that operates within the digital economy, that's the government, the industries, the startups, the little businesses that operate, everybody needs to come on board in order to maximize these opportunities to take us from where we are right now and where we need to be, which is through leapfrogging eventually. Thank you.
All right. Back to the phones now. Okechukwu calling in from Enugu. Hello, Okechukwu.
Hello. Hello, I'm with you, sir.
Yes, go right ahead.
Hello?
Go right ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Okechukwu, go on, you're on.
Yeah, my contribution towards the program tonight is that most of network is something that is very important. It's a very important issue in Nigeria. I think if we can improve a network link to some areas of our facilities in Nigeria, especially in the electoral process, I think it is very, very important. Just like what the INEC have come to. So I'm very much happy to hear that INEC have stepped into the electoral system, but have changed to a network link. So I'm just calling to commend the INEC.
All right. Thank you very much, Okechukwu. Thank you. Well, we're about winding down, so we'd like to just look at a few more issues and take the closing comments of our guests. And let me bring this to Dr. Mbanaso. The infrastructure that will enhance Nigeria reaping the maximum benefits from 5G is said not to be fully deployed here. I'm also interested in how 5G will impact research in institutions like yours and others. Research is one area where there's much to be done.
Thank you for that valid question. By the way, internet is as a result of research, And everything that is happening in the cyberspace today is still research driven. And so you remember I mentioned how much do we have local content in the 5G. And research and development is one part of that local content I mentioned earlier. Now, if you found out that most of our references is either from ITU or from other advanced countries, and so how much is our research input into 5G, for instance? So we need to increase our capacity in research and development. That will also increase our local content in this regard. Now, I also mentioned the issue that we moved from 2G, 3G, 4G, and now we are in 5G. And as we are moving, other countries are trying to reduce their dependency on foreign technologies. And so in a few years to come, 6G will be in place. And we also remain a consumer nation. And so we need to begin to look inward. How research and development will help us a lot in reducing our dependency. And now, when you look at it further from the cybersecurity perspective, there are several layers of vulnerability. And one of the areas of ways to curtail or contain that vulnerability is increasing your local content. And so if you can increase your local content, you can actually reduce the vulnerability opportunities that can be exploited by other countries. For instance, we all know that China is in the forefront of espionage and the forefront of actually ghosting people's country's data to their own country. And so with this 5G, we see without research input, we won't be able to know what is actually taking place in terms of security. So there is a very high need that research and development is very, very key in the success of 5G. Because of various layers of vulnerability that exist, we need to increase our capacity. So I'm thinking that going forward, the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy should extend the process of 5G by designating some centers of excellence in certain universities or institutions of higher learning to focus on research on 5G, because there's a lot to research on 5G. People have mentioned about artificial intelligence, robotics, electronic cars, et cetera, et cetera. All this introduces vulnerabilities into the system. And so we don't need to be relying on data from research data from foreign countries. We should be able to generate our local data that can be able to tell us actually what is the activities that are happening within our own cyberspace as far as 5G is concerned. So there should be a deliberate, harmonized and coordinated effort in research and development that is industrial driven and well defined, well thought out through. Not the present situation where we have a kind of ad hoc research. Every institution is just trying to research. The government should be able to define our priorities in terms of research and development, and in conjunction with the industry, the big telecom industries. Like I said the other time, you see that most of these big telecom countries can sponsor big what is it called, the big Niger, and they don't invest in research and development in the universities. So we should be able to revive the trend, because research and development is very key, very, very, very key to the growth of 5G and the next generations of wireless communication.
Let's go over to Lagos now, and the president of the Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria. If you ask most people, they would want to extract a promise from you to say, yes, there have been factors beyond your control responsible for the rather poor services, but they would also want you to state that you wouldn't use this as an excuse for further poor services when they expect more from you. And this is a really serious point with many people who would say, look, yes, we know there are issues here, but sometimes we wouldn't want them to use these issues as the excuse for not performing up to standard.
The truth of the matter is every single service provider wants subscribers to get the best quality of service. The reason for this is twofold. If your network service quality is good, you gain more subscribers. Two, your actual revenue as a network service provider depends on the usage of your network resource. You've already done the investment. So if subscribers are not able to use it, you are losing money. It is never in the best interest of any service provider not to offer efficient and good quality service. And it's good people understand that. So when you see a situation where, for whatever reason, the service quality is not where it needs to be rest assured that the network operator involved is also not happy, and they are doing everything possible as much as they can to improve on that. So that is something I want Nigerians to be rest assured on, that indeed we are in this together. Also, don't forget that the network service providers have subscribers also working for them. Everybody working there, when we say the network, we are talking of you and I that are also subscribers and users of this same service. So it's in our collective interest that the quality is good. And the same reason why we reach out to the external factors that are also involved in some of the challenges we are facing, that they are also users of the network. They are also participants in the bigger ecosystem. So we should see this as a win-win for everybody when the quality of service is right, and is something we need to be aware of. So what I'm saying is, in effect, yes, from the service provider standpoint, it's in our best interest to ensure that service is always available at the right quality. This serves two purposes. One is good for subscribers. There will be more uptake on the services. But more importantly, if your network service is not good, you are actually losing money. That is the fact of the matter. And no service provider wants to lose money. So it's a collective effort that we should all work together to ensure that there's better improvement in the quality of service.
Right, thank you very much. And, well, Honorable, we're back to you now as we round off. What can Nigerians expect from the National Assembly as we move on to 5G? And here I'm talking about the protection of citizen Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want Nigerians to believe that the National Assembly will always protect their interests. We always protect their interests. We are going to amend the law at any time we deem fit that there should be improvement, enhancement, not only in the security of lives and property, and also in the economic advancement of the country and Nigerians as a citizen. So Nigerians should believe that the National Assembly is up to the task. They can amend the law anytime.
Yes, you can do that at any time.
Anytime we can sponsor an amendment. Any law that we believe is outdated or obsolete.
A while ago, you talked about the deployment of technology in the electoral process.
Yes, we as it stands, the law, we have given the INEC the power to conduct and transmit the election. If they say they are ready, so be it. As a player, we have right to raise some question. The law remains INEC to conduct election and transmit election in whatever medium they believe.
All right. Okay, so final word. Let's turn to Taiwo Taiwo, and let's hear you as we wind down.
My final word is this. We need to relate speed to value. What is 5G bringing to the Nigerian economy? Yes, it's going to help us in terms of communication. It's going to help with people communicating more effectively and more, deriving value and impacting on the business sector. However, what value is it bringing to the economy in terms of agricultural space? What value is it bringing to the economy in the area of infrastructure? What value is it bringing to the economy in the area of SME, that is small and medium enterprises, which millions of Nigerians are involved in? What value is it bringing to the table of the Nigerian economy in the area of securing our land, particularly against banditries, against kidnappers? These are the areas I am looking at when we are celebrating the introduction and the deployment of 5G technology in Nigeria. Nigerians should be able to see value, even in the reduction of goods and services, the production of goods and services, our export processing. 5G must bring value to the table. Thank you very much.
So the discussion will continue, not just on this platform, but on other platforms as well. And I'm sure many Nigerians will take the debate right down to the grassroots as we look at the issues, public policy issues, and other matters arising from Nigeria's movement to the 5G network. On this program, I'd like to appreciate all our guests. Let me start off by thanking Ikechukwu Namani, President, Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria, who joined us via Zoom from Lagos. It's been interesting talking to you. We thank you for coming on this program.
Appreciate.
And Sadiq Nassar, the ICT expert, also joined us via Zoom from Ola.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right. Okay. Technology did work tonight on this program, and we heard our guests from Lagos and Ola quite clearly, except for a few dropped calls. Mr. Namani has promised that it will be better as we go ahead. So let me say thank you very much to Taiwo Taiwo, Country Rep, Policy House International. Thank you for coming on this program.
Pleasure.
For Associate Professor of Cybersecurity and Executive Director, Center for Cyberspace Studies, Nasarawa State University, KEFI, Uche Manaso, thank you so much for your thoughts on Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure having me.
Right. And Honorable Hakim Madeni Adeyemi, Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Telecommunications. We thank you for being with us tonight.
It's a pleasure being here tonight.
We hope you come again.
Definitely.
All right, then. And so that's our program tonight. We thank you for being part of it. And the discussion will continue. And next week, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. Until then, I'm Cyril Stober. And as I say, continue to stay safe.